Well, I did not do a business degree or a communications degree. I'm actually an architecture graduate from UNSW. So, are all of you still practicing as architects?
Yes.
I'm so sorry. Yeah. Okay. So unlike these guys who actually pursued the right career, I did architecture school for 6 years. I think it was a full 6 years at the Red Center in UNSW, and after that came out, did a Masters of Design in the College of Fine Arts. Yeah. Okay. One designer right there. And I was working as an architect for a few years in Australia before I came back to Malaysia. I'm actually a Penang mom, so I'm from Penang. And Penang architecture designer over there. Okay, so I'm actually from Penang, and so I moved back to Malaysia just to be closer to home, closer to family. When I came back, I was working in an architecture firm for another 2 or 3 years before, one fine day. Actually, okay, let me just zoom into the future. I'm actually the owner of 3 businesses. Yellow Brick Road is the newest of them. The first business I ventured in was Smushy Juice, which is the little bottles of juice I think some of you are having tonight. So that was started out about, I would say, 5.5 years ago. That was my first business, and it's still running currently. The second business is the Red Bee Bag, which is another cafe in Sri. So that was the first cafe business, and after that we ventured to Yellow Brick Road. So how did I get from architecture to sweeting juices and eating coffee? So I was actually in my office, in my architect office at that point about 6 years ago. And I was having a discussion on, I think it was MSN Messenger at that point, with another one of my friends, who is also an Australian graduate from Macquarie University. Yeah, so both of us were just chatting and we were saying, I miss how when we were in Australia, we had all these really nice, pure, fresh juices in the market. We had Nini juice, I don't know if some of you remember Nini juice, they're like little bottle juices and pure fruits. And there's nothing here in Malaysia. At this point, everything was very full of sugar, full of preservatives. So I said, why don't we start up something at the side? This is a part-time thing. Try to squeeze some juices, distribute it, see what people think, test the market. So that's what we started to do. We started to try to making this little business at the side, and we got quite good feedback, and we decided to pursue it at that point. So both of us quit our jobs just to try to take this full time. So I stopped being an architect and I was squeezing fruit juices, and she was an accountant. She stopped that in the IT industry, and then she joined up with me and we started Smushy Juice. So that was our first business venture. It was very tough, I would say, very, very difficult, because none of us had the experience at all in F&B at that point. We had to rely a lot on the internet. I know it's very cliche, but we were YouTubing a lot of stuff. We were reading up on a lot of stuff. A lot of things we got wrong. We started out a juice kiosk in Vijaya Times Square, which was the wrong target market. It was the wrong timing, and so that didn't work out well. So we cut our losses and we tried doing distribution instead. So we started distributing the juices to little cafes, to restaurants, and we figured that structure was a lot more profitable. So we've been doing that ever since. So that was the first venture. There was a lot of trials and errors and downfalls for that, but thankfully 5 years later we're still going strong. So then 1 year after that, I met my then boyfriend, now husband, from Melbourne. They were Melbourne Uni graduates. Yeah, so they were like, oh, we really miss the cafe scene in Australia, and we really want to bring it down here because at that time, 5 years ago, there wasn't. Right now, there's every other street there's a cafe, but at that time, I would say there were only a handful of good places to have proper Australian breakfast. Like California, I think, South End, and probably Departure Lounge, so that was it. So we thought, okay, let's give it a try. We'll try setting up a cafe. None of us had any F&B experience. Again, we were pretty much just jumping into this deep hole that we didn't know what we were getting ourselves into. And people ask me, how did you do it? Because the first outlet, the cafe in Augusta, it's actually a stroke of luck. It's not even on the ground floor, it's on the first floor. For those of you who have been to Redgreen Life, it's on the first floor. It's not a good location. At that time, Publica was totally abandoned. There was nothing there. So we were just sort of a butler at that point. We were saying that whatever we do, we have to do it well. That was the number one principle that we held on to. Whatever we do, we just do it the best we can, don't compromise, and we just try to get the business in there. So first year was very tough because no one had heard about us, no one pretty much knew about us, and we had to get the word out very organically. We had to get bloggers to come in, to try the food, to write about it, and slowly the word got out. And thankfully, 5 years later, we're still doing pretty well. Yeah. So this, sorry.
No. Just following you.
Yeah. So I think so that was how it started out. You said that you wanted to tell them about the red flags, what not to do and what to do. I don't think there's a black or white. There's no manual on how to do it. It's time and place. For us, I would tell this over and over again. It was luck as well. We were lucky enough to get a really solid head chef when we first started out. It's so rare to get someone that you can trust, you can work with. But the first person we interviewed, we liked him so much. He was a 25-year-old young boy at that moment who just wanted to try out try it out at being a head chef. We hired him. We brought him under our wing. He didn't understand what Australian brunch was. He didn't understand what cafe scene was. So after the first year, we even brought him to Australia to try out the cafes. And we said, go to this cafe, go to Proud Mary in Melbourne. This is the sort of concept we're looking for. This is the sort of food we want to bring to KL. And he got inspiration from there. Came back, tried to put his own twist to some of the dishes. And from then on, it just grew. And for me, the best thing about the businesses is we've managed to nurture a lot of. We've managed to nurture a lot of people on the way, so it wasn't just the head chef. Our barista at that point, who came with us, didn't know how to make coffee. We taught him how to make coffee, and then now he's one of the partners of Yellow Brick Road, and he's also the winner of the 2013-2015 Barista Championship. So it's all about, I think, for us, building the relationships and along the way. And people say, what's your recipe to success, or how did you come so far in owning, two of the biggest cafes in KL? And I'm saying it's all very organic. It didn't start out like that. We didn't start out being popular and having lines of people waiting outside on Saturday and Sunday. We had to build that from scratch. We had to get the team together. And it was a lot of hard work, but it wasn't just about me, it was about the whole team as a whole. Yeah, so that's how we ended up here. That's how Yellow Brick Road is basically the brainchild of me and my husband and two other partners. One of them a barista who we nurtured from bringing back. So the whole idea about Yellow Brick Road was it's for people on a journey together, not knowing where we're going. Hence the whole concept of Yellow Brick Road. One girl, three guys on a journey together, and that's how the whole notion of Yellow Brick Road and the concept. And with the food, we try to make it a little bit quirky. We try not to take ourselves too seriously, and yeah, so that's it. And I think all these skills that I've picked up, which I have applied to the businesses, are from my education. People ask, isn't it such a waste that you did architecture for 6 years and now you're not using it anymore? And I tell it to them over and over again. For these 6 years, I was not only studying how to draw buildings or to draft toilets and stuff like that. What I learned from my time at uni was also social skills. I learned how to problem solve. I learned how to be creative, think outside the box. I learned skills like learning how to use the computer, Photoshop, CAD skills, which I still use to this day. For the designs of the cafes, for the designs of the sushi bottles, for even the marketing, for the labels, for everything that I do, I kind of apply everything that I've learned before. So when they ask, oh, is your architecture degree, has it really gone to waste? I say, no, it hasn't. If I hadn't done that degree, I hadn't gone through all those experiences, I wouldn't be the person I am today. And I wouldn't have started out the business and run it the way that I'm running it right now. So yeah, I think that I'll let there be like a Q&A, so if they want to ask me anything. Let me start with the